everyone. Thank you for joining us. Glenys Gassman coming to you on the RoB Referrals Over Breakfast Network tonight from Melbourne, when we're co-joined tonight with Phil East from Profit Improvers over in Gippsland. It's been sunny over there today, Phil.
Always sunny in Gippsland. Sensational place to live.
Fantastic. And we've got our special guest tonight. We've got Sam Ferguson from Thirsty IT. Sam's going to be talking to us tonight about non-negotiable around having a website as a small business owner. And how are you tonight, Sam?
I'm well, thanks, Glenys. G'day, Phil. How are you going?
G'day, Sam. Good to see you here.
Thanks very much. Great.
And we have Chris from Referrals Over Breakfast driving home to Ballarat. He's been in Melbourne, so he's not going to say anything, but he has waved. So thanks, Chris. There we go. So look, my name's Glenys Gassman. Why do we do these podcasts? Well, look, you know, we are a group of proactive business owners in South Melbourne and in Ballarat, and we love breakfasts and we love referring business to other business owners who are part of our group. And myself personally, I have a business called More Customers, More Profits. I love working with people who want to be successful in business and who want to do less but earn more. And that's being smart around your business, right? So tonight we're highlighting members. Well, what we do on this podcast is we highlight members and their expertise, and their, you know, they like to give up their time for us and also share something with us that we can take home. And Sam is a website designer from Thirsty IT. And one of the things that I've found is that when you're listening to anything like this, or you're on any webinars or calls, you just have to pick up one little gold nugget, and then that could be that little gold nugget, that little thing that's going to tweak your business and actually have that turn the corner, whatever corner that may be for you. So I'm really looking forward to what Sam's going to tell us tonight. He's been just talking to me offline a little bit about some of the stats that he's found around websites. But before we get into that, Sam, you know, both myself and Phil are business coaches, and we get to talk to a lot of businesses around their websites. And, you know, one of the things that I think comes up in conversation all the time, well, there's three things. Firstly, is like, do I need a website or not? But they get a little bit confused about what they should have on their website, you know, because they think that they're a lead generator, but websites at the moment are more of a credibility exercise, and people might hear of you for you know, your business, and so they jump online to actually look you up. It's a bit like going into a shopping mall, you know. They don't necessarily want to buy straight away, but they want, you know, to know a little bit more about you. So, and, you know, a lot of the things that I see, and I know Phil sees it as well, is that, you know, we jump onto websites if we're scouting around, and it's got, you know, call me here, call me there, book an appointment here, all the same stuff, you know, and it goes on and on and on. Whereas, you know, for the prime real estate of that front page, you know, what do people need to put there to actually attract that person that's checking you out? Because if you don't have anything really reliable, the latest I heard was about 2.4 seconds, but you could be updating me on that, you know, then they're just going to go off and see your competitor. All right. So, you know, one of the things, you know, do they need a website or not? Secondly, if they've got a website, what's got to be on that front real estate page that's going to keep those people, their ideal target market, really like connected? And then the difference between a website that's a lead generating website, like we talk about landing pages and squeeze pages, as opposed to, you know, your website, which is telling you, you know, telling everyone else what you do and who you do it for. So I think that if we could clear up some of that confusion tonight around some of our small business listeners, I think that would be really great. So I know I've thrown a lot at you, and I know everyone that's listening tonight, thank you so much for being on the call. It's great to have you here. We've got some real regulars here coming on board. So thank you for Dave and Jody and Tamara and Jake. I know you're all there. Thanks for coming on the call. And I know they would be happy to know, you know, what is that you can help us with. So if you have any questions and answers, questions, Sam will provide the answers. If you have any questions along the way that what Sam was talking about, just throw them up on the Q&A, and Phil and I will take those questions and, throughout the night. And we'll be finishing around about 6 o'clock. So enjoy the drive home, Sam. I'm just going to hand over to you.
Fantastic.
And you can just, woo us with your expertise.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Glenys. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Chris. First things first, why a small business needs a website is probably the most important question of all. Basically, the first and most obvious reason is simply credibility in the modern day. Basically, we're in the digital age. If you want to be competing as a small business in the digital age, you just need a website. You need to be able to be found by your customers. Actually, I've looked up some stats. Hopefully, Phil, I'm not stealing any of your thunder here, but I looked up some stats. Basically, 62% of customers, according to the Telstra Small Business Report, will stop considering a small business if they can't find any information about them online. The same report also said half of customers under 40 use a search engine to find a small business every day. So that's half of a very large demographic look online to find you every day. And I'm just amazed by the first one, that 2/3 of small businesses won't be considered by a customer if they're not visible in some way online. And so that's basically crossing out 2/3 of your customer base. And that can be solved pretty quickly just by getting a website up there and doing a few smart things with it.
Yeah, that's amazing. 2/3 of your customer base lost. That's what you're saying, really, isn't it? It's like, and we've got people crying out going, I want leads, and yet they may not have a website to capture their ideal target market. That's amazing.
It is. And I just think that I actually purposely for this particular webinar, I looked up some stats, and that just amazed me that many customers out there, you need some legitimacy and some credibility that a website can lend to your business. And the other interesting stat that kind of goes along with that is that 60% of small businesses under 20 employees don't have a website currently. And so there's a huge,
wow, that's amazing. 60% of small businesses don't have a website. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, so, well, 59% is the exact number, but 60% close enough too. Yeah. That's just a huge, huge number. And just think of all those businesses out there that basically they're leaving money on the table that could be picked up, and is basically leaving it on the table for their competitors that are a little bit more savvy in the modern digital age. It's really...
Well, from what you've just said, by not having a website, they've cut their market down to 1 in 3.
That's right. Yeah. It's a big number.
That doesn't make dollars and cents to me.
No.
No, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But why do you think? Can I ask you, Sam? Is there anything in the research? Why do people why don't they have a website? Is it just naivety? Is it the cost? Is it what are they? Do they think it's too hard? What you build websites, right?
Yeah, sure.
So. Yeah,
it's a mix of all of those things, Glenys. But there's a good old time and money are the big ones, in that small businesses think, okay, website, there's just another expense. They really need to look at it from the perspective that can bring business into you and grow your revenue. So it's like
it's an investment.
One, you need the
isn't
other.
It, Sam? It's an investment.
Absolutely.
And how long? Sorry, can I just say how long in your experience, just for our listeners as well, it's like if you invest, $4 or $5 grand, I'm picking numbers out of the year here, all right, for a website, okay. How long do you think it would take for a business to get noticed, or, to have that turnaround and, give them back that money, at least? Yeah.
That's a tough question, Glenys. I actually don't know a specific case answer on that, but I think there was a stat I read actually while I'm a bit of a stats person. I was looking up a few that businesses reported something like 25% growth fairly quickly in their revenue by having a website. So, I mean, you've got to work out the numbers and things like that, but that's a pretty high stat in a fairly short, in a matter of months. Yeah. Especially
with going along with what you just said, 40% of people are looking online, at least one business a day through a search engine. Yes.
People under 40, half of them are looking for a website looking for a business online every day, which is a huge.
People under 40 are looking for a business online every day. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're not in the picking order, you're not going to get picked, right? Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, you've just got to be out there these days. A website, they don't have to be that expensive, and the time to maintain them is really, depending on your type of business, it doesn't have to be that much. You can, even just a simple web presence can be, well, it doesn't have to be maintained that often. It really depends on the business and the website. But the other reason businesses decided not to have a website, small businesses that is, they thought they were too small to have a website. Now, I think that's a bit of a kind of a trying to, what's the word? A recipe for failure is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
If you're a small business and you think you're too small to have a website, then you're always going to be a small business that's too small to have a website. It's a bit of a misnomer, I think. Yeah.
Well, they just come from. Sorry, Phil, you go ahead.
I was just going to say it's our self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a scarcity mindset that comes from, isn't it? It's like, I suppose, and the answer for me as a business strategist is that if you're not investing, if you haven't got the money to invest in a website up front when you buy your business name or your company, and that, I mean, that's just a no-brainer these days. If you're not investing in something like that, then you setting yourself up to fail. Like you said before, you need a website. Yeah.
It's interesting, just to add to that point, Glenys, if someone takes nothing else out of this little webinar, the one thing I'd say is get yourself a domain name. Even if you use it purely for your emails, it just adds so much credibility and just.
Than having an Hotmail address or an
Oh, I can't stand that. It drives me insane. But
I work a lot with lead generation, and you would be amazed at how many people who run actually pretty big businesses just have an @Hotmail address or an @this address, or they're not even their business name domain address, which is really, really disappointing, because it's from a credibility exercise, who's going to take you seriously if you got,
Jacko973@gmail.com.
Yeah, no, forget about it. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I got it. Yeah. All right, so we all know now, we know that we need a website. Everyone needs a website, right? And Thirsty IT can do that for them. And depending on how sophisticated you want it, how many pages you want, whatever, you'll do a tailored price for them. And from me working with you, Sam, and I know that we've worked together a couple of times, you're quick off the mark, you do a great job. And, so from a business point of view, you're up there in the 95% range and above as far as customer delivery. So that's not the challenge. Tell me about, what should they have on their front page? Like, this is a big thing out there.
It is a big thing. That's an interesting question. I like at least one main hero image of some description.
Yeah.
And it has to be, it's a bit of a tough one. I find that looking at it purely from a visual perspective, when you come across a website, you need a good hero image. You can actually use video a lot. There's actually some good kind of starter plugins you can use for videos. They're always a good option. Also a way to contact you in that initial above the fold frame, in that when you first look at a website, you need to have, because a lot of people look at it and look quickly and just go across to another website if they're not engaged, and if they don't have, and it's important in that time to at least have some method of being able to be contacted by the customer. So two things specifically are a good hero image or video and a method of contact. And it's important your business has a logo as well. It's a website without a logo, it just looks a little bit amateur as well.
Yeah, I can imagine that. It's like I'm trying to think of an acronym for a website without a logo. Maybe Phil might come up with something around that.
Pressure on. I'll have a think.
But here's the thing: is that in the RoB Academy we have We have some videos in there, and Phil, you know all about those. And we really, the context of the RoB Academy is, you know, the marketing equation. And the marketing equation is the headline, sub-headline, that you have got to get your ideal target markets, because really, you only really want your ideal target market looking at your website, really. I mean, if we can just work with our ideal target market, we're home and hose, because typically they buy more from you. You can charge a higher, they buy your A-class product. You charge a higher price, they come back to you more than once, and they bring their friends, right? So you want your A-class clients to look at your website. And if you've got something on there that's going to attract them in a headline, a picture, video, the hero image, as well as words, because words really jump off the page. And if you have that, then they will engage with you. And like I heard, it was about 2.4 seconds that you've got before people are bored with your site. The RoB Academy teaches you all of this, and videos, what, Phil, is it 17 or something?
17, 18 and 19. So 3-part series, how we design market dominating websites. So,
there you go.
And then the follow-up after that is 20 and 22 talks about actually generating leads online.
With videos and stuff. Yeah.
So very comprehensive. So, and just on the RoB Academy, and part of the stuff that we learn in the RoB Academy, and what Sam has been talking about with credibility, visibility, people looking for businesses. Website is a massive part of the buyer's journey. And we talk about the buyer's journey in the RoB Academy, about our customers. Less than 1% are looking to buy now, and all the rest are looking for information and looking for who to trust around where they're going to buy from. So websites are a great way to impress that credibility and whatnot, as Sam was talking about. So.
Yeah, and so what we got on the front page is, you know, you can utilize the RoB Academy for a little bit of education purposes, but then, you know, you have to know who your ideal target market is and what their biggest problem is, so that you can put that image, or you can tell somebody like Sam, because Sam's the designer, you know, so Sam is going to want to know who you're trying to target, and so he can get the right image and things. Is that right, Sam? So you get the right image, but you really want them to give you the words, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you raise a point I actually missed there, Glenys, in that headlines and the initial kind of wording that appears above the fold on a website is really, really important to catch. There's another way you can catch someone's attention and grab them and bring them in and bring them beyond that 2.4 seconds of watch time, which apparently, according to what I've read previously, is slowly diminishing even more and more. So you really have to catch people's attention in some way.
Sorry, Sam, just a moment. I've got a message here from Selena. And she's saying to me, you know, there's a lot of people talking to her around about having your website mobile friendly as opposed to desktop friendly. And so, you know, that stat you said, you know, people under 40 are looking for businesses at least once a day. Is that on their phones or is that on a desktop? And should they have all this mobile friendly stuff installed? And do you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Mobile friendly is an absolute must for several reasons. The first of which is, as you said, more and more customers are viewing web pages over their mobile devices. I don't know the stats on it exactly, but it's something like 50+% and increasing. The second one is, and this is also a really important one, is that Google now ranks their pages and looks at the mobile view first. And so basically your Google SEO rankings determines a lot by whether or not your website is what's termed responsive, which means basically it works nicely on a mobile or a tablet device.
Okay.
And there's nothing worse than coming across a site that's not responsive. It's a really difficult experience on your phone, and you'll know pretty quickly if a site's not responsive. It looks like an old-fashioned kind of desktop side of view, and it's just very difficult to work on your phone.
Got it.
Google
So Selena, I
analyzes
think,
you.
yeah, so Selena, I think we've answered that. Yes to mobile friendly, and yes, Sam does that
Yes.
as part of your service. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most of my websites these days are based on WordPress, and the majority of the responsiveness is done within the theme itself. There's a bit of fun and games around and trying to get that right, but yeah, there's no point having a website that's not responsive these days. It's just not. It's just like, I can't think of an analogy, but it's not. It's no good. Yeah.
What does that mean, Sam?
Responsive or
WordPress.
WordPress.
Most of the things are WordPress. What does that mean for someone?
That's a good point, Phil. Sorry. Yeah, WordPress is what's called a content management system, and basically that is kind of like, what would I say? Something you can put things like your images and your text into, and at the other end, it spits out a nice website for you. That's a very, very basic and simplified way of saying that. So I can't think of a better one off the top of my head.
It's like a piece of software, isn't it? Is it sort of?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. There you go, Sam. There you go. I think, Phil, there's another question there, I think, from Sarah. Do you want to let?
Yeah, Sarah's on there. I think, g'day, Sarah. She's just saying, what do I need to bring to my web designer so he can get started? Is there a checklist or a list of stuff that she needs to have in order to?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, as part of my kind of design process, I have a checklist. Unfortunately, I haven't got it right in front of me, but at the minimum, I would recommend that you don't let your web designer write your copy. Over the years, I have done that occasionally for clients, but it just either get a professional copywriter or write it yourself. Another one, if you can get what I call real images, and by that I mean images of your business or your products that are done well, whether you hire a photographer. I know we have a few connections to photographers through Referrals Over Breakfast.
Yeah, we have Corey,
I'd get them to maybe come out to business, take some professional photos. They just come up really well on a website when it's done well.
Yeah.
What else would I say? You need to obviously have an email address, maybe have a goal. Actually, one thing, taking a step back, having a goal for your website is very important. There's no point, there is a point to just putting up a website in it. It does lend credibility, but you also want to have an idea in mind of what you actually want your website to be for you, whether it's kind of, as you kind of alluded to earlier there, Phil, to form the middle part of kind of your marketing campaign or your buyer's journey, or whether it's purely for lead generation, or if it's for just providing credibility. There's a lot of different reasons. So you really need to have a bit of the first question I normally ask people when they come to me and they say I want a website, ask them kind of why do you want a website? What do you want it to be for? It's a very important question that really does influence the designer quite a bit, and it should.
Yeah, no, that should be the biggest thing. It's a bit like when you're speaking. I know when I'm doing any speaking engagements, I always have an intention that I want the audience to get. And I have 3 dot points that I can, I verify at the end of the speaking engagement through questions that I've asked whether they have actually, I have achieved the goal that I've set out. So why wouldn't you do that for a website? Absolutely. Yeah. That's a really big takeaway there. Yeah.
And just on those 4 points, Sarah, I'd say if you want to get right across those 4 things that Sam's noted down there, I am sure if you go to video 17, 18 and 19 in the RoB Academy, that will get you a very good idea about nailing down, especially your why and your copywriting and what sort of photos to take to Sam to get him started.
Absolutely. And if I'll just go on a little bit further, I think it's, there's another couple of videos in there around, it's actually 21, 22, I think. It's around the sorts of questions that you think your target audience would ask you, and the sorts of questions, and you provide answers to those. And then also the questions that your target audience should ask you, but they don't ask you. So that's what you can now give them more information around what they may be thinking, but haven't actually formulated that question in their mind. So all Phil and I are saying is you have a great resource, everyone that's on the call. You got a great resource called the RoB Academy. It is an online website that you can build your business with. And I promise you, if you went through the whole 52 week series, it would take you 3 years to do it and apply it. But I can tell you your business will be tripling your leads and doubling your profits, if not tripling your profits, eh, Phil?
Yeah, and likely that will happen before we even get it finished, Glenys.
Yeah, that's excellent. And we're talking with Sam Ferguson, website designer from Thirsty IT. You know, why a website is a non-negotiable necessity for your small business. And you know,
Sarah's giving you a smiley face there, Sam. So I think you
fantastic.
answered that one for us. So she's happy with that too.
Great. And we got another question there. Are Squarespace or Wix any good? From Selena.
Oh, that's interesting, Glenys. Squarespace and Wix, basically what they are is kind of online platforms to build yourself a website, and that when they're done well, some of them look okay. But what I find is people build their own website on Wix or Squarespace, and unfortunately, it looks like it's been built on Wix or Squarespace.
It's a little bit dog's breakfast, is it?
They can be, yes. Yeah, it really, and there can be issues around the responsiveness, also about the SEO compatibility of them. I just think if you're going to build your own website, I'd say don't do it unless you really have some good IT knowledge. Just handball it to someone like me that can do it for you.
Yeah.
It really, Squarespace and Wix, when they're done well, they can be okay, but generally I find when they are done well, it's been done by a web designer or an IT boffin of some description that really knows what they're doing.
There you go, Selena. Don't use it. Don't use it. Just go to Sam and he'll sort you out. So, Sam, I know we've been talking some really good stuff here, but, you know, some of our listeners like a good horror story.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever had, you know, like, I think you started to allude about writing copy and then get other people to write their copy, that sort of stuff. But, you know, you might have something different. You know, what have you found? What's been the worst experience for you as a website designer? Yeah, or have you got a horror story somewhere?
Yeah, I've got a good one in that basically taking over other people's websites at times can be a bit painful. There's a particular one. It's actually it was for a Super Rules football club based out in the northern suburbs. I actually haven't met this person, but I've conversed with them a great deal online and over the phone. And through a contact, I basically got to do some work for them. Their website looks absolutely terrible, but they don't want to change it. And I guess for me, the horror story is that I'm constantly maintaining and updating this site that kind of looks like, well, it's not something I want to put my name to, but I'm constantly maintaining it and getting frustrated and finding that occasionally all the file permissions have been changed. And what that means is basically the website is down for a couple of days until I figure out exactly what's happened, and I have to reset them all. And it's quite anyway, it's basically...
It's a nightmare. That's a nightmare. Yeah.
And it's all your fault, Sam.
Well, luckily this guy we hadn't spoken for several weeks before it happened, so he knew it wasn't me. But I mean, at times those things can become kind of your problem even when they're not. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Can I tell you a story that I picked up here in an accountant in Melbourne actually last year, and he was in Port Melbourne. And so I was looking around for accountants as my one of my ideal target markets, and I was just hunting around in the local area. So I always look at people's websites. So everybody that's listening, the first thing I ever do is I jump on their website and I have a look, because I have an evaluation form that I evaluate people's websites. And it's only from a lead generation point of view. It's from a marketing equation point of view, Sam. You know, it's got nothing else to do with what you do. Anyway, this accountant, and his contact hours were from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. And I was going, that's really funny. I wonder what sort of business that this person does. So anyway, I gave him a call and he picked up the phone, and I said, you know, you don't know me and this isn't a sales call. I want to get to know you. Do you want to have a cup of coffee? Da, 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 da. And I said, but before we go, I said, can I just ask you a quick question? What sort of clientele do you have? And he goes, well, why do you ask that? And I said, because your contact hours that we contact you are from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. So I said, I was sort of thinking you might do the night trade. And he just laughed and he goes, you know what? My website has been like that for 18 months. And nobody has ever picked that up. So anyway, long story short, I had a cup of coffee with him and he became a client. So that was from just attention to detail. So, you know, like there are people like me out there and Phil who go hunt down people's websites and we find errors in them.
Interesting, Glennis. So I've got a bit of an extension on that too in it. There's well, Google has a function called Google My Business, and it's critical for anyone that has a small business. And if you really absolutely don't want a website, at least fill out Google My Business. And you'll often find that people have their hours completely askew on Google My Business. And it's always funny to see people that are open Sundays 12 till 12 is pretty impressive. But yeah, so Google
and on Melbourne Cup Day, you know, like I bet you nobody went in and changed their hours yesterday when they had the day off, you know? Yeah.
It's one of those, well, Google My Business is just a free hit basically, because Google will often, if say someone types in explicitly your business name, often the Google My Business information will be brought up straight away if you filled it in correctly. And that's just a complete freebie basically that Google offers for you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. All righty. Well, can you tell us a bit about web pages that are lead generators as opposed to web pages that are non-lead generators, you know?
Sure. There's some real benefits to using things like squeeze pages for lead generation. And what I mean by a squeeze page is a purposely designed page with specific images and messaging, and also as little distractions from that specific message. With a squeeze page, basically the purpose is to collect somebody's contact details so you can get back to them and treat them basically like a sales lead, I suppose. So you want as few distractions. You want people getting on that page and you want them inputting the information. And so what that means is you remove all the standard navigation and links away from the page. So, and one of the things, if you have an existing website, you can actually build into the back end. You can build specific squeeze pages quite easily. Yeah. And it's something I highly recommend. Say you have use someone like Cube Social or Studio Hawk to direct traffic onto your website. You might direct it specifically to a squeeze page for the purpose of lead generation. And the important thing is, because I mean, most campaigns, say on social media, these days it's difficult to get traffic without paying perhaps for paid advertising. And if you're spending that money, you want to be directing traffic to something that really does convert and collect people's information. Yeah. And a squeeze page is the perfect thing for that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. I had a client up in Brisbane. She was a reconciliation lawyer. So she didn't actually do the divorces. She got people back together. And when we started having a look at her page, she had 300 people a month clicking on her website, and she had no idea who they were. Yep. When we put in we put a squeeze page, and then we had a link to that squeeze page just with a real boom word that, you know, looking for this, click here. On the front page of the website, we got, you know, roughly around about a couple of hundred people in per month in her funnel, the information funnel, you know, where that's what you said before. It's a lead generator. It's like they're wanting more information, but they're not ready to buy from you yet. And Phil alerted to that earlier around the buyer's journey.
And Chris is definitely learning as he's driving, because the corner of his mouth went up a little bit when Sam mentioned Cube Social. So I could tell that he's actually listening there, so that was good.
Now, so Sam, you know, like there's something that you just said before, and I want to get this cleared up as well from your opinion, is that there are things out there called ClickFunnels and lead pages and stuff like that, where people can create squeeze pages and landing pages and that, you know.
Hmm.
But they can also do that from the back end of their website, right?
Yeah.
And you know, what's the easiest for small businesses to do that? You know, I know you do squeeze pages for me and my clients, all right? So, you know, what is it that people need to know about doing their squeeze page? Should they go off and buy lead pages or ClickFunnels?
I would say that depends on the level of skill that the particular customer has. It's a little bit like the Wix and Squarespace kind of argument, in that basically if you're using lead pages or ClickFunnels or GetResponse or any particular kind of landing page builder, you really need to know exactly what you're doing, because you don't want to build a page that doesn't convert. And also there's several options available. You can have a standalone, say, lead pages page. You can have a lead pages page that's built into your website. Or you could, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, you can even build your own custom one perhaps within a website itself. But what I really encourage people to do is maybe have their existing website and add a page within it, say a lead pages page within it.
Yeah.
You can use something like, well, lead pages. I'm assuming I don't know ClickFunnels that well, but I'm assuming you'd be able to integrate that, say, with a WordPress site fairly easily. I know GetResponse definitely does, and there's hundreds of them out there. There's some really good ones. I'd really recommend that you actually know exactly what you want with a squeeze page or a landing page. And if you don't know how to do it exactly, I'd get someone such as me to do it for you. I love doing those. And you really can build some good ones that can genuinely collect some customer information. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. So
getting you to do it sounds probably a better use of people's time as well. Glennis is all about leveraging your time.
Exactly.
And using you to do it is generally a good use of people's time.
Absolutely. And, you know, I have got lots of productivity hacks up my sleeve ready to share with everyone.
There's a pretty decent learning curve associated with using, say, lead pages, ClickFunnels, GetResponse, Unbounce is another one.
Yeah.
So you'll find that the first one you do will take you a long time, but the next one won't take you much time at all. So if you're really prepared to invest that time, then maybe having a go at your own is worth a go. But I'd recommend, if you want to, as Phil said, if you want to use your time efficiently, that you get someone to do it for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all for that. Absolutely. So Phil,
there is just one other thing, Glennis, if I could.
Yeah.
Sam's mentioned that people say their business is too small, it's too expensive to get a website, and they don't have time to build one or manage one, as the three big things of why and there's just one other one that I come across a lot when I talk to small business owners, and it's I've got Facebook. We just do everything on Facebook. It's you know, and Facebook is great for a purpose. And however, if you look at Facebook, there's actually a question on there that says, "What's your website?" And if a website wasn't important, I don't think Facebook would ask that question. And there's another button that asks them if you want to, do you want to promote your website? So I would say that even Facebook's telling you that a website is important.
Can I jump in? Yeah. There's a lot of good things about Facebook, but I mean, there's several that are a little bit challenging with Facebook, in that basically you're limited to the real estate that Facebook gives you with Facebook, and also to reach any large audience, you've got to pay money. I mean, a website, you can build SEO, and I guess you can pay for SEO services as well. But a website, you completely own the media of your website. A Facebook page, I suppose you could say that's owned media, because it does represent your company, but you're really limited and at the mercy of Facebook. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Oh no, that's gone. Sorry. Yeah. And that really, limits what you can do with it.
Yeah, you know, Phil and Sam, you know, what I say about that is, look, Facebook's great, and it's great for building your community. And if you can build your community without paying for it, it's even better. And I do know people who are doing that, and they're being very successful at it. It's taking a while, but they're building a community and they're being of service. So, you know, we're talking about businesses, you know, small businesses out there. And, you know, if you are being of service, and that means sometimes you've got to give some things away. Sometimes, you know, you share your expertise, you refer off to people, which is what Referrals Over Breakfast is all about. When you start doing that, you'll get a lot of things coming back to you, and it could be in the way of community. And when you gather your community, that's just like a landing page or a squeeze page on a website, where you could direct traffic to that, or you could pay for some SEO or something to be driving traffic to that website. But it's all about generating your community. So why wouldn't you have many places to generate your community? And so, you know, for me, I think it's great, but there's a place for Facebook, but there's also a place for web pages, landing pages, squeeze pages, and, you know. And I think the stat that you said is really, really important. You know, at least one person a day under 40, no, sorry, at least every person under 40 a day. Just tell me that stat again.
Every second, so half of customers under 40 use a search engine to find a small business every day, which is
That's amazing.
Huge number. That's probably 3-4 million people in Australia every day use Google or Bing to try and find you. Yeah.
Yeah. So look, you know, I just think you've got a wider audience.
2/3 of your customers or potential customers will cross you off the list if they can't find you online.
Yep.
They're going to go off to your competitor.
That is very powerful.
Yeah.
Down the road to your competitor.
Yeah.
Well, look, Sam, thank you so much for being on the call. We've got about another couple of minutes, and we're just wrapping up now. All your stats, which is really great. And, you know, Sam from Thirsty IT, if you want a website, you want a squeeze page, you want a landing page, you want great customer service, highly recommend Sam. You know, shout out to him through the RoB network, or have you got an email address or phone number or anything you want to shout out now?
My email address is sam@thirstyit.com.au. My website, I do have a website, being a web designer, it sort of helps. It's www.thirstyit.com.au.
Yep, that's great. And you're happy to have a conversation with anyone around this, and yeah,
absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah.
And
I've been taking my notes, Glenys.
Good on you. I was going to ask you, Phil, what you've got your little poppy on this week?
I think my main takeaways, because we've had those stats, won't go through them again, but my main takeaways would be get on the RoB Academy 17, 18 and 19. Get your copywriting, your images, your email address, and your goals and your why for your website, and get all them all together, and then go and see Sam.
Excellent. And Phil, you've got your poppy on. I thought it was next week.
Remembrance Day.
Yeah.
11th to the 11th coming up. So
coming up. Okay, great. I think that's a really great thing.
If you see people sitting at a table or something outside your supermarket or down your street, some of the poppies,
the other day. Yeah.
Look at a $5 or a 20.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Grab your poppy.
Excellent. And next week we have myself coming up. So Phil, I'm going to be talking to you and Chris or anyone else that wants to be online. And in fact, it's more interactive next week. So if you want, bring everyone and your friends. So I'm going to be talking about what does business success mean for you in 2020. So we get to say, what does that look like for us? So Phil, have you got any ideas of what you want?
I've got a big list, but it's a bit daunting. 2020 is a new year, but it's a new decade too, Glenn. So I'm pretty excited, and I might just keep a couple of those up my sleeve and surprise you with them next week.
Oh, I like it. Yes. So we want interactive next week with lots of questions. and really start thinking about, you know, what does business success look like for you in 2020? Sam, what does it look like for you?
Oh, business success in 2020. That's actually a good question. For me, it's just continuing Thirsty IT and pushing along with it, and
world domination.
World domination.
World domination.
Nothing less than that, Phil. Yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Well, look, Sam, I want to thank you so much. You've been a world of knowledge today. You know, all these stats. I love the stats. So does Phil. We love them. Ex-accountants.
We love our numbers.
Thanks, Phil.
Love the numbers.
Thanks,
so I want to thank you so much for being here today, giving up your time, telling us all your knowledge and expertise about, you know, the reasons why we need a website, the types of things we need on the website, and how you can help people do that. So thank you. And look forward to having you on again. If you've got anyone's got any questions of Sam, please contact him at sam@thirstyit.com.au. And Phil, thank you for being on the call today, as always. Really chirpy from sunny Gippsland.
You can get me at bobsyouruncle937@hotmail.com.
Oh, Phil, get yourself an email address. Yeah.
Oh, really? I have an Uncle Bob as well. All right. And I want to thank everyone else for being on the call today. Thank you for everyone that's been on the call. And Chris, I hope you're on your way home for the drive, and we will see you all next week at 5:15. What does business success look like for you in 2020? Going to be a great episode. So tell all your friends, let's get on, let's get some ideas and share them.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Sam.
All righty. I'll see you all next week, everyone.
Thanks, Phil.